and roll, Chicago. Rock and roll, Chicago, my hometown. Well, I was born in the city, gonna rock your city, Chicago. Chicago rock and rollers are the best you're ever around.
Hey, this is Paul Martin
And Ray the Roadie.
for the Rock and Roll Chicago podcast. I think it's I heard some jingle bells going on. I think it's time that we wish all of our listeners a happy holiday season. Wouldn't you say,
Yes.
Ray?
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year
Yes, indeed.
to one and all.
Yes, to all in one. We're all in this together.
That's right. Come one, come all. Come see, come saw. I was sitting around here and I've always wanted to learn how to play Hotel California. So I said, I'm going to learn to play this thing. So I've been sitting here in my little studio here at home, and I've been working on the song. I never realized that Hotel California goes for like 30 minutes. I never realized it was a 30-minute song.
It does?
Yeah.
That long, really?
It just went on, and I put the album on, and I started playing it on my turntable here, and I'm playing along with it and stuff. But I didn't realize it was a skip in the album, and I kept playing the same part over and over and over. But that one section I got down pretty good.
Yeah. Well, there's this new thing called digital listening, digital, I don't know what you call it actually, but
Like-
you can listen digitally.
Like streaming?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Good.
Kind of like our podcast does.
That's right. It does stream.
Yeah.
And it's a good stream.
Yes, it is.
Even my urologist told me that. He says, your podcast got a good stream.
Okay, that's enough of that. So speaking of Hotel California, I guess that's where you're going.
I am.
With this week's guest, right?
Yes, it pains me to say that it's Heartache Tonight.
Why does it pain you to say that?
Because it kind of goes along with the heartache thing.
I see.
But yeah, yes, we met with the guys.
It wasn't painful at all.
It was not painful whatsoever.
No.
And I'm sure they know how to play Hotel California without the skip.
Yeah, probably, yeah. Yeah. But you could ask Alexa to play that for you.
You can. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I just like to whip out the old Victrola now and then, and
yeah,
crank it up and put a nice album on there.
Well, vinyl is making a comeback.
It is. It is.
So to get back to the band, we talked with Heartache Tonight, a great band. They've been together for 13 years or so, and they do a lot of shows. They do about 60 shows a year. At least that's what they said. Now, not this year so much, but
No.
But as we've said before, not too many people are playing at all this year. But hopefully they'll be back at it real soon. Let's see what the guys had to say.
Sounds good. Let's go.
Hey, welcome to the show, everyone. Today we're speaking with a couple of the guys from Heartache Tonight. We've got Tom Carey and Christopher Plash,
Hey.
Tom O'Brien, maybe to be joined by the drummer in a little bit. But how you guys doing today?
Doing well.
Really good, Paul. Thanks.
It's good to talk to you. I know you guys have been together for quite some time. How did the band get started, and how many years has it been?
We got started in 2007. John Forrest, bass player who's not here with us, is an old friend of mine. He and I had played together for many years in the Tom Carey band back in the 90s. And I had taken a couple of years off and had moved. We were in the Cleveland area for a while. We moved back to Chicago. John said, "Hey, I'm not doing anything. Let's put a band together." And it was the last thing I wanted to do because I was a little tired of the rock and roll biz, as happens at times. And I said, yeah, we also had a keyboard player who shall remain nameless. And I said, we need if we're going to play, we need a drummer. I mean, we can get together and fool around, but I'm not going to do this thing again. I don't want to be in the bars anymore. And because I was so old at the time, and the drummer was Bean. And we did the thing that you do when you get together. You're like, do you guys know this one? Do you guys know that one? And some of the stuff we played was some Eagles songs. We played Take It Easy and Peaceful Easy Feeling. And everybody sang. John sings and Bean sang great. And I remember we did Seven Bridges Road, which is the kind of a cappella song, and everybody just sort of went to the right part. It sounded really good, and I thought, God damn it, now I have to do this again. Shit, I have to put a band together.
Now, Bean's real name is
Chris.
Chris. Oh, okay, Chris.
Yeah. But he goes by Bean and always has.
Oh, okay, all right.
In the music biz. And, this is 2007, so the tribute thing wasn't it wasn't like it is now. It was almost like embarrassing, like you're an Elvis imitator or something. So I was reluctant to suggest it, but he sounds like Don Henley. He just does. And you've got we had four guys who could sing harmony. It just seemed like a kind of a no-brainer. So I reluctantly, said, hey, what do you guys think about this? Everybody liked the idea. We had a different guitar player at the time. Bean always said, oh, I got this guy. You're going to love this guy. He's perfect for this band. And so when the other guitar player moved on, we got Tom O'Brien. And we also had a friend of John's, Jim Altenbach, who's still with the band. So we've got, the classic Eagles lineup, two real guitar players, me, and then keyboards, bass, and drums. Chris is the most recent addition. He came along 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2019.
2019, yeah. And unfortunately, we were really, the original keyboard player is a very talented guy, but Chris is, I don't know. Every time we've added somebody to this band, whether it was Tom O'Brien way back when, or Jim Altenbach, it's like we've gotten to another level. I would even suggest that when we started working with Ron Wilhoff on sound, who was with Diversified for years, he started working with us full time, and that took our vocals to another level because we had in-ear monitors and a guy who knew what he was doing mixing. We've now got Dale Tulk who's doing the same thing. So it's just, keeping a band together this long is really an accomplishment. I mean, it's no M&R Rush, I give you that, but and the tribute thing has gotten bigger and better as we've gotten bigger and better, and it's just it's been a nice ride. And this COVID thing, of course, really popped our balloon quite a bit. We had a really good 2020 lined up.
Well, I was going to ask you how you're surviving COVID.
I'm staying home and hiding in my office. There's a cot in the corner. You can't see it, but I'm an introvert. If I've got a guitar and a stack of books, I can hide in my room for years. It's this, but I do miss playing.
How many gigs did you have scheduled?
We were going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 shows.
Wow.
And we've expanded to the point where we are traveling all over the Midwest. When we started, it was clubs and festivals, and it's become theaters and festivals. So there's so many towns in Illinois and Wisconsin, Iowa, Michigan, Indiana, that have these 300, 400 seat theaters. And they're booking acts like us now. And it's lucrative. It's fun. The audiences are fantastic. People who pay $30 or $40 for a ticket are sort of right in our wheelhouse age-wise as people our age. They love the music. They're there for the music. They're not there with 16 big screens and, dollar picture night or whatever it is. And it's just so satisfying to do. We had, I would say, half our schedule now are those kinds of shows. So, and it's fun to go on the road. We make enough money that we can travel decently and have fun. But I have to say that the phone is ringing again. I think people are anticipating that we'll get back to normal in 2021. The theaters, I don't know. We'll see. But I've got lots of festivals lined up already. So,
yeah. Now I noticed I was looking online and I saw on YouTube you played the Acorn Theater, which is a great little theater. I love that place. It's a fun little place. I walked in there and I went, wow. I said, this place is really cool.
Yeah, it's a funny story. When I first became aware of them because my wife went to Notre Dame, which is South Bend, right down the street there, and a friend of hers had rented the theater, and she went to a show there, and it was, way back in 2008 or 2009 or something. And I started bugging them. Like, you got to book us, And we went back and forth for 3 or 4 years, and I finally gave up. I thought, okay, some places you can't convince, even though I thought this place is perfect for us. And a few years after, as soon as I gave up, I got an email from a local producer there, a guy named Lance Werner, and he had seen us he saw us at the Blue Chip. We played a VIP thing in their big room there.
Sure.
He said, I saw you there at this show. Would you ever consider playing the Acorn Theater in Michigan? And I'm like, yeah, I would consider it, since I've sent them 20 emails in the last 5 years. I think it might work out. And we have sold out 10 shows there probably over the last few years. We play there 2-3 times a year. It's our home away from home. It's just so much fun. Great spot.
Yes, it is. Now, I know you say you don't do too many bars anymore. You stick to the festivals and the theaters. Yeah,
we play some of the bigger rooms, or just for fun sometimes. Don't get me wrong. Being in a bar, playing loud music and drinking beer is my idea of a very good time. But there's not too many that can put a 6-piece band with a sound guy in a room and charge enough to draw enough people to have that make sense.
Right.
But sometimes we do it just because it's a good time,
Have you played the Beverly Arts Theater?
Oh, yeah, very often. We are scheduled there to play there in March again, a date that's been moved back a couple of times.
Right.
I'm guessing that's probably a little too soon. But yeah, we do great there too. It's another one of those theaters, 400 seats.
Right.
Perfect spot. People who go there like our kind of music, that's right in the wheelhouse for us, for sure.
So, Chris, you're kind of the newest member. What is your history? What bands have you played with, or where have you come from?
Oh my goodness! I'm one of these guys who's been doing this forever and ever. I've been playing live for probably 20, 30 years. Was based out of Oklahoma City with a couple of touring bands for a while. I'm from Illinois originally, came back up here and played with a number of bands in the area, Providence, Billy Croft, and the 5 Alarm, which I probably spent about 10, 11 years with. And that's actually how I met these guys. I did a gig in 2018 at, I think it was a car show in Lombard or something like that. Did the show. These guys followed afterwards, and I stayed and watched the whole show. I was just enamored with, their sound. I just thought it was fabulous. And in 2019, I got a phone call from John saying, "Hey, would you mind coming out and auditioning, with us?" And a buddy of mine, Mike Gerbitz, who's a fabulous drummer, plays with Anthem quite a bit, called me up and said, "Yeah, John's going to call you and, go out and audition." I'm like, "God, you're kidding me. These are the guys we played with in Lombard." And he's like, yeah, same guys, and went there, did the audition, and the rest is history. And of course I hit right before COVID hit, which, was no bonus because we were just starting to get.
You've been with the band a year, right?
Yeah, pretty much. So COVID hits, the schedule dies, and here we sit.
Did you guys get to do any shows this past summer or no?
Not the past summer, no. We stopped. When was the last show? I think the last show was in February.
We did one on March 11th.
Oh, that's right.
And
yeah.
I know that date because it was like the next day where it all hit the fan.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a couple I think we had a couple in January, a couple in February, just typically slow for us.
Sure.
And who knew, right?
Yeah. Well, like they say, music is the first to go and the last to come back.
Who says that?
Yeah, I hope that's not true. I kind of think by the 2021, the summertime, I think everybody's going to be ready to go out again. So I think we got some big things coming. I'm pretty excited about it, actually.
So Tom O'Brien, tell us a little bit about your history.
Well, I've just been playing. I've been playing for a very long time. Probably most popular band I played with was the Bad Examples. I don't know if you've heard of them. They were big.
Sure.
So, I played with them. I actually met Ralph back in the 80s, and we kind of kicked that off. That's when we got together with Pickles. And I was in and out of the band. There had been several guitar players. I'd do a few years. Somebody else would do a few years. I'm back doing them now. We're still doing a show every now and then. I went on the road with Ralph for, I think, 5 years doing his Ralph's World thing around the country when he was signed to Disney and stuff. So I did that for a while. And just when that was winding down, I got a call from Bean, the drummer, said, "Hey, we're looking for a guitar player to sub out in the Eagles thing. Can you do it?" And I said, "Well, sure." And it was great timing. That one thing was winding down and this was winding up. So that's how it worked out.
That's great. So now you mentioned Pickles, who I understand before we started the interview that has passed away, which I didn't know about. I'm sorry to hear about that. May he rest in peace. But so you've been around the business for quite some time, huh?
Probably the 70s, right? I'm dating myself, but yes.
Tell me who you guys have shared the stage with. I know you've shared the stage with quite a few different, quite a few big name bands. Tell us about some of those stories.
Well, Tom, what do you think? I'm trying to recall who we've done this with. I know we ran into Eddie Money backstage somewhere doing one.
That's right, Eddie Money. That was fun.
Lieutenant Dan, I think we ran into him along the way.
To do that too, yeah.
I'm trying to remember them all. They're like a blur.
Yeah, I think between us, the old Tom Carey band, we used to open for a lot of people, and I know that the Doobie Brothers and America and all of those. We don't do that much with this band. I think what's happened in the festival market is some of the national acts have sort of priced themselves out, which is good for us because then we end up headlining. And of course, the theaters were typically the headliner as well. The business definitely changed when I had the band back in the 90s, and you guys probably had this experience. There's Bean. There was a lot more of that opening act for the national. I'm sure Chris and Tom have a whole list as long as their arms of national acts. So.
Yep. I'm just trying to remember who they are. Bean, how you doing?
Hello, gentlemen. Sorry I'm late. How are you? Chris, how are you, man?
Good, brother. Good to see you.
Nice tree.
Oh, yeah.
I know. He looks like a Christmas
Fireplace. Oh, yeah.
That was a bitch to get in the house.
Like an episode of Family Classics over there.
We're joined by Mr. Bean. Bean, how are you?
Fine. How are you doing, sir?
Good.
How's it going?
Good.
You buy the next round since you're late.
Yeah, sorry, guys. Sorry. Believe it or not, I was actually playing, which is a good thing. So that's why I was late.
An actual gig or?
No,
or
just trying to stay loose, stay fresh, and work up some parts for eventually when we get back out there and do some shows.
Well, we were just talking about that, about how you guys have survived COVID, and how about yourself?
Well, just been trying to keep my distance, trying to remain hopeful. Been bugging Tom a lot about when we can get back together and play. And we're just kind of have to wait till it's a comfortable situation out there for everybody. You know, it's just one of those things.
Have you guys done any streaming shows or have you gotten together just to rehearse at all?
Not well. The last thing that we did was, we had a show. Well, it's been a while since Heartache has got together. Had a couple other projects on the side, and Tommy O'Brien and I have gotten together to do some stuff. But as a group, it's been quite a while. We're really looking forward to doing it. Actually, as we have as much cabin fever as everyone else out there. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I think the last one was New Lenox, right? Wasn't that the last one? Did we go down there? We played outside the big outdoor thing.
That's right. You know, you asked when our last show was, and I said March, but we did 2 outdoor shows this summer, didn't we?
They're just spaced apart. We did
one at that casino in Iowa, the Riverside Casino.
Oh, right.
And they sold tables. It was outside, and they, so the tables were spaced. The servers and all were masked. So I felt we were comfortable. And then the other one was a festival in the park in Romeoville, right?
It was Romeoville.
Romeoville.
And they did a great job there too. They had a big, like a Ravinia type setup, and people were spread apart. It was okay. I think it'll be similar when we get back this summer, unless, this vaccine thing rolls out perfect and everybody gets happy again.
Romeoville was supposed to have the Naperville Rib Fest there this year, and they kind of got screwed on that deal, I think. Yeah,
I wonder if that's where they'll do it, because it was a pretty big area.
Ray, you know that area, right?
Yeah, I guess. Well, in Naperville, I think they're redoing that park that they used to have it in. So the place is torn up, and I don't even know if it's going to go back to Naperville. I think Romeoville got it for good. They're going to keep it, every year. But yeah, this is supposed to be their first year, and they have quite a lineup set up. And just that all went away.
That venue at Romeoville is really outstanding. They did an awesome job putting that together.
They really did. Very nice. A lot of communities seem to be doing that. Lansing's got a nice outdoor stage area now, and a lot of towns are doing that.
Yeah,
which is great for the bands.
Yeah, we play Addison frequently and Lyle, and both of them. We played one year, and there was a little portable stage, and people in the lawn and whatever. And the next year, this big, permanent pavilion. And it's like, wow. So I think communities are realizing this is a real nice thing for the people who live there. So hopefully that'll keep up too.
Yeah. A lot of them will have weekly or bi-weekly shows or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. We do a fair amount of that.
This is Paul Martin
and Ray the Roadie, and we're here to talk to you about GHS strings.
That's right, Ray. Whether you play electric guitar, acoustic, or bass,
or even banjo, mandolin, or ukulele, then GHS has the strings for you.
GHS strings are easy to play with a rich, full balanced tone available in many different gauges.
Great for all musical styles. So if you play
with the best. Play GHS strings.
Road to Rock Radio is proud to welcome Paul Martin of M&R Rush and the Dancing Noodles and Ray the Roadie, the Rock and Roll Chicago podcast. Join Paul and Ray as they bring you weekly interviews from bands that have rocked Chicago. It's the Rock and Roll Chicago podcast, Monday night at 6 on Road to Rock Radio.
Chicago, rock and roll, Chicago.
I know you said that you when you first got together, you learned some Eagles songs, but why the Eagles? I mean, why did you pick the Eagles?
Well, as I said, we got a drummer who sings and sounds like Don Henley, and we've got, at least at the beginning, and still, we've got 6 guys who can all sing. That's very unusual. Right. And so that's why it seemed kind of like a natural thing. Plus, the Eagles were so big. Sometimes we'll do a show and they only want 90 minutes. It'll be, and we can't play all the songs.
You can't even play all the hits.
We can't play all the hits in 90 minutes. You can't do it. And that's an amazing benefit to have. I mean, I got so many bullets in the gun, right. And when you add in the the solo stuff, the Joe Walsh stuff and the Henley stuff, we could play for 3 hours and you'd know every song.
It's the one thing that always astounded me about playing with this band is every time we do these shows and you're wearing earbuds, my ears are sealed and I can still hear the audience singing every single word. They know every single word, every single song, every note, every guitar lick, every keyboard lick, everyone there. It's amazing. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, for me, coming into this, it was pretty convenient for me because I don't really think I looked at many lyric sheets, probably none, because I already knew all the time. I happened to grow up with that music. I've always been a fan of it, of course. And with the whole Don Henley thing, that's, I kind of stylistically, I guess, emulate what he does. And I love the way the guy sings. And I listen to so much Eagles, even when I was in a band when I was 10, 12 years old. We played a bunch of Eagles covers. So I already knew the stuff. So for me, it was kind of easy. And when Tom just said, hey, what do you think about doing an Eagles tribute band? And, it wasn't the first thing on our mind to do, really, just because sometimes, especially back then, it had certain stigma attached to, or, it wasn't exactly the most hip thing to do at the time. And so once we started playing together, it actually sounded good. So we're like, let's keep going. So that's kind of how it evolved. So it was kind of just happened just by jamming together and, kind of being comfortable with the material. And, the players in the band are really great and meticulous and really wanted to put the work in to learn the parts. So, if you do this music and you do it kind of, if you're either going to do it right or kind of don't bother doing it. And that was kind of our attitude going in.
You guys do a great job on it. I'll tell you that.
I think it's, it's not prog rock or anything. It's not like, going to break your fingers playing it. But when you start to dig into it, the arrangements are, really something. We've gone back to every time, like when Tom O'Brien came in, we reworked everything because now we had two guitar players. Tom and Jim Altenbach really could play the stuff. And I don't want to speak for Tom, but I think once we started sort of tearing apart the arrangements, it was like, oh yeah, let's get this, let's make it as good as we can make it. And I think that's a challenge for everybody. I mean, you listen to that stuff on the radio and you go, we could probably play that, but to do it really well is still fun. It's still fun to sing, still challenging to get it right. So,
yeah, it's interesting working out the solos the way the original guitar players did it rather than just, soloing over the changes. You're actually digging in and saying, kind of figure out how he actually played this stuff. So it sounds, like the part. So that was interesting to me.
Well, that leads me to my next question. And hypothetically, if someone never had heard of the Eagles, and you guys had to play one song, what would best exemplify? What song would that be that would best exemplify what the Eagles do?
I see. So somebody was on a remote island, Shanghai, for like 30 years.
Well, or what song is it that you would play that if you had one song to play, which one would it be? That would best exemplify the Eagles.
Exemplify. Well, there's so many eras of the Eagles. You have the Bernie Ledin era. You have pre-Joe Walsh. So, I don't know if there's one song that's going to exemplify that whole catalog. There's too much. It spans too many years. But let me see.
I agree with you.
I would prefer something like the Life in the Fast Lane era because it's more guitar driven. Others might prefer something more vocal driven. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Desperado always comes to mind. We've actually done shows where like as Tom said, there's so much material, we've actually ran out of time in the show. Right. And we actually went through the show and didn't do Desperado. And I could probably count on my hand the times that's happened. But maybe that's twice. One of the ones that what's that, Tom?
I said maybe twice.
Yeah, maybe twice. But when we've done it, when that has happened, it really was catastrophic, I think, for the title of the show, because from just a vocal tune, as Tommy said, that would exemplify it for me.
Yeah. For me, what do you call the quintessential Eagles? I really don't know what the answer to that question is. I mean, I grew up, I was a kid in the 70s. One of the first songs I learned, my cousin, who was actually here from overseas going to college, bought me their greatest hits album when he was home visiting. And he taught me how to play Tequila Sunrise on the guitar when I was just a young lad. So, that whole era for me was kind of it. I think one of my favorites is probably One of These Nights. I love the arrangement, all the little spots. Yeah, where everybody plays a very specific part. That I just love that, and the vocals are just fat and big.
That's true. That one has a little everything. That's a good point. Sometimes
that's a good one. And Jim nails the solo every time.
I know. He really does.
These nights, one of these crazy old nights, we're gonna find out, pretty mama, what turns on your lights. The full moon is calling, the fever is high, and the wicked wind whispers and moans. You got your demons, you got desire.
I think most people would say Hotel California. That's the one, like if we're setting up somewhere and there's some kid setting up gear who's, 20 years old, that's the one. That's the only one they'll know. But I like the early stuff. Take It Easy and Peaceful Easy Feeling. I think that era, that's the one those are the ones that stick with me. It's hard though. Like, One of These Nights is a fabulous tune. New Kid in Town is one that never gets old.
Right.
And they're very, very different songs. Those guys, boy, did it in all kinds of formats and eras, and it all works.
Yeah, they were able to grow with it.
Yeah.
How many albums did they put out? Do you know? I mean, offhand,
not as many as you would think. I think there's only like 7 of them.
If you don't count the greatest hits in the live,
right?
They did 5 studio albums, and the original Incarnation, and then just 1 since then, I think. 2. Hotel California, then The Long Run. I think and then the most recent one they did that Back from Eden. There's been some other special albums they put out too, a couple compilations, like you said, but not as many as you would think. It's not like it's a Beatles catalog or something like that,
There's only 7 studio albums.
There you go.
7 studio.
We do.
Like you said, there's quite an extensive catalog, of music you could play for 3 hours and everybody would know every song. But and
it's fun too, because there's always the guy who comes up and wants to hear, some deep album cut, and but like, what do you leave out?
Yeah,
right?
Well, he's a true fan. That guy.
He's a true fan, right? He wants to hear the King of Hollywood or something, or the Greeks Don't Want No Freaks, and I'm like, well, okay, but then we can't play Lion Eyes, and
right.
We're not going to get away with that, brother, So, what do you do?
One of those that often gets requested, and we just can't fit it into a live show because it's a powerful, awesome tune, but we can never. And I love singing it. Is Wasted Time. That's one of those deep cuts, or I wouldn't call it really a deep cut, but that's an example of one of the ones we get requested for that all the time, and we've tried to work it in. And as Tommy O'Brien says, and Tom just said, okay, what are we going to leave out then?
Exactly. But we do deep cuts. We do New York Minute. That's kind of a deep cut, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true.
Well, it's a funny story. We had an agent come to me in 2014 and say, I've got an idea for you guys. It's the 40th anniversary of the Desperado album. And Desperado is probably their least popular. It only had Tequila Sunrise and Desperado on it, and they weren't even really hits first time out, I don't think. But I love it. I think it's a great record, and it really features that country, like Bernie Ledden's all over it, playing banjo and mandolin and stuff. So we learned the whole thing, cover to cover, we learned all the details. I think Altenbach bought a dobro. And, I learned to play harmonica. I mean, it was like a whole thing. We did it once at a theater show. I won't tell you where. And they've never had us back because the audience just sat there looking at us like.
Turns out they only want to hear the hits.
Yeah.
Who was that suggested that? Did you fire him?
I'm not going to tell you.
Did you fire him?
In fairness, I thought it was a great idea.
Yeah.
And we still, every once in a while, we'll dig out one of those songs, and they're great songs. We do Saturday Night sometimes, which is a real nice tune. And, of course, Tequila Sunrise and Desperado. Anything else? What else do we do?
What's the one with the harmonica?
Oh, Duel and Dalton.
Oh, Duel and Dalton.
Great
Yeah.
song. And we were used to getting, by then we were getting pretty popular, and, we're used to getting good stuff from the audience when we finished a song. And I think they were all looking at us like, is this over yet? Like,
Yeah.
so we quickly swung into the greatest hits show after that. But
Exactly. Live and learn.
yeah, exactly.
So you guys do some solo stuff too. I mean, some Don Henley material and some Joe Walsh stuff and stuff, I assume, right? Throw some of that.
James Gang. Sure.
Yeah. But again, depending on the length of the show,
Glenn Frey.
And where it is. If you're playing festivals, you might want to keep it more on the rock side. If you're playing a theater, then you have the quiet room, the lights, the atmosphere. Then you can dig deep and play a more variety of stuff, I think.
Yeah, we do, I think, a really nice version of New York Minute, and Bean sings it great, but it's 8 minutes long, and it's a very slow tempo. Yeah, playing that for a festival crowd on a July afternoon would not work. And it's great. Don't get me wrong, it's fabulous, and it's fun to do. It sounds so good, and
It's a great song.
Nobody cares, like, all right, I'm going to go get some, lukewarm beer. And
but it works in the theater. Really.
in the theaters, it kills.
Well, you've got quite a catalog in order to choose from, in order to be able to manage that the festival set list to the theater set list. So
everybody loves Joe Walsh. Like I wasn't even that huge a fan when we started this, and I have grown in my appreciation for that guy as a songwriter, of course, as a player. As a band leader, all I have to do is call out a Joe Walsh song and people go crazy. But again, we talk about learning more Walsh stuff all the time, but again, what do you leave out?
Yeah, and oh my gosh, Jim Altenbach, that guy.
He does nail this stuff. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, he's a machine. He's sound. Just like it's phenomenal. Just awesome to listen to him sing Walsh. I love it.
Yeah. Well, it's funny too because he is a technician, and he never makes a mistake except one time. This is a terrible story to tell while he's not here. But I'm going to tell
best time to tell it.
That's what I do.
Let her rip, man.
So he plays.
You could fill the show with my mistakes. But go ahead.
I was going to get to that. Yeah. So he plays the telly, and he plays that very iconic intro into Peaceful Easy Feeling. The intro has that very distinctive bend in it, and for whatever reason, he probably just started a half fret off or something. And this is a guy who never makes a mistake. I mean, never. And it was awful. We all started laughing and turning away from the audience. I'm like, I don't think I can sing this song. It was great.
We've all had our moments.
Yes, we do.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we can't even count my mistakes. But
But that's what makes you guys a good band is you're playing live. You're not using any tracks or anything, and you're playing live, and that's what humans do is they make mistakes, right?
Every once in a while.
Exactly.
That's the reason it sticks out. It's because the only one Jim's ever made, as far as I know.
Exactly. From someone who has to stand next to him, I can attest to that.
Somehow, I think the crowd enjoys it too. And
oh yeah,
there's been a couple times where we've said, "Hold on a second, let's just stop and start over." And I think that kind of actually, sometimes you just can't take it too seriously. You just gotta just play and enjoy it. Well,
Tom, you do most of the booking, correct?
I do. Yeah. But I work with all the agents in town and national agents too now, since we're doing more traveling. So
And how far have you guys traveled?
I would say, well, it depends. We've gone.
I know you mentioned Michigan already. You've mentioned Iowa.
Pretty much a 5 or 6 state area. We had somebody fly us to San Diego a few years ago to do a private show. That's pretty unusual. And we did one in, what was it, Sioux Falls? That was an interesting trip. The guys have the flexibility to, if somebody offered us a little mini road trip, we've got a nice van and a nice trailer, and we're happy to jump in and drive. So, but yeah, pretty much the 5 or 6 state Midwest area.
Well, you're doing, you said 60 shows a year. Normally, now this year could be thrown out. But if you're doing 60 shows a year, I mean, you're doing better than a gig a week, and probably more in the summertime, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Fair to say. I would say we're on the road 50% of the time now. So we'll do a little Friday, Saturday thing in little Indiana, Michigan, and come home deal. And those are great because we're starting to, develop a wider audience.
And weekday fests as well.
Yeah.
So
those weekday concerts and festivals, sure.
So has there been any original work? You guys tried anything?
Well, I write, and I've been wanting to record this band forever. I have trouble stopping. I never know when the song is actually done.
Right.
So, yes, I would very much like to do that. I don't know that there's a big audience out there waiting to hear my songs. We've been in the studio a couple of times and middling, I think, effect. But yes, it's going to happen. This year for sure.
Gosh,
I'm going to stop writing a song that I've been writing for 10 years.
Date down. What is this? 12, 19, 20. Okay.
I know it's terrible. It is just terrible.
Well, it's a great thing going to the studio and watching a song or an idea that you have take shape. I know that you have to at some point just go, okay, that's good. That's good enough.
Right.
Yeah. But I get it when somebody comes, well, wait, we could add this to it, or you could add that to it. And I get what you mean by when you say you don't know when a song is done.
I'm very slow with the songwriting. I'm kind of more about a lyric and kind of a, singer-songwriter-ish thing. It's so, sometimes I'll come up with something and I'll throw it at the guys in rehearsal, and they'll play it and I'll go, okay, I need to change 8 things. I'll be back in another month. So we'll get there.
That's great. So how do we find you social media wise, or website, or where can people go to find Heartache Tonight?
Well, heartachetonight.com is the website. And when people ask me how you picked the name Heartache Tonight, I say that was the only greatest hit that didn't have a .com locked up. So, and that's true.
Yeah.
That's exactly a true story. We also have a Facebook page, which I'm sure you can find if you search.
Well, it's been great talking with you guys. And,
Thank you very much.
And appreciate taking the time today to join us here.
Oh, it's been really fun.
And Bean, you're going to have to stay a little bit longer since you were late.
Yeah, I know. The usual thing.
Hey, it's good to see all you guys again.
Well, thanks.
Well, I
again,
look forward to seeing you guys out of the show. Thanks for having us on. It was a pleasure to meet you and talk to you.
Thank you very
Nice
much.
to see my bandmates again.
Yeah, it's a fun thing that we're doing here. We're just trying to keep some bands going and keep the names out there and until we can all get back to playing again. And
It's very cool.
Yeah.
I think what you're doing is great.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Paul and Ray, for your work.
Cool.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks,
Good
guys.
stuff.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you, guys.
Merry Christmas.
Bye now.
See you guys.
So that was the guys from Heartache Tonight: Tom Carey, Christopher Plash, Tom O'Brien, and Bean, as he's affectionately called. He's a drummer, and we missed out on a couple of the other guys, but it was good to talk with them and get some insight into their band. and it was a lot of fun. They were some fun guys.
They sure were, and they know how to play Hotel California.
Yes, they do. Apparently,
without the skip too.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
They know a lot of Eagles songs, and can probably play for 3 hours, like they said, and you never miss a beat, and you probably know every word in every song. So,
yep, it's a shame that people haven't been able to see them. They put on a great show.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. A great band, great guys, and it was fun talking with them.
Yeah, and you know what? They're all over the place now, all over the Midwest. So got a much bigger audience out there.
No excuses on not going to see them once this COVID thing ends, or
that's right,
is in better shape than it is now. Let's say.
That's right, and come to see us when we're back in our studio recording. You'll be able to see us right through the window when we're doing our show.
Where would that be at?
That's at the Illinois Rock and Roll Museum on Route 66 in beautiful downtown Joliet, Illinois.
That's right.
Home of Road to Rock Radio, where you can find our podcast every Monday at 6 p.m., a rebroadcast of one of our shows.
Also, I want to remind everyone that not only is the show brought to you by the Illinois Rock and Roll Museum, Road to Rock Radio, actually, but also by GHS Strings. So be sure, and all your guitar players, mandolin players, bass players, banjo players, get out there and support GHS Strings.
Violin strings?
Possibly.
It's a string.
Yes, it is.
Catgut.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
See you next week. Actually, next week's going to be a special episode. So you're definitely going to want to check it out, download it, stream it, whatever. I really think you guys are going to really enjoy the next week's show.
Okay. I'll be sure and listen. Oh, I'll be there.
Oh, you will be there. That's right.
Okay.
Hopefully you'll enjoy it too.
Yeah, I'll listen to it too.
Okay, great.
All right.
See you next week.
Thanks.
The Rock and Roll Chicago podcast does not own the rights to any of the music that's played on this podcast.
The music is used to promote the band or musicians that are interviewed.
Rock and roll Chicago. Rock and roll